Hi everybody, welcome to Technique Tuesday, where each month I offer a principle, aspect, or technique of sea kayaking that has my attention. And what has my attention on this episode is water, specifically water for overnight camping. Here along the Maine coast, we don't have a lot of great spots to get fresh water, so carrying water is a major concern for us as we make day trips and longer trips along the coast. The general rule of thumb is that we need 3 to 4 liters of water a day. That's about a gallon of water a day. Now, if you're someone who drinks a lot of water, or if you're cooking a lot of meals that require fresh water, I would up that. But for most circumstances, I would err on 4 liters of water a day per person. I was caught off guard by Wendy in this last trip we did where we were running really low on water. We actually had to start to ration. Wendy drinks a lot more water than I do. And I didn't calculate that into my math. So sorry, babe, got a little close on that one. But I think 4 liters of water is a good place for you to start thinking about how much water to take a day if you're someone who uses a lot of water and are using a lot of water for cooking. Now, there are a few ways to carry that. There are big reservoirs, 6 and 10 liter reservoirs. I tend to stay away from the 10 liter because I think they start to get a little unwieldy. I even find the 6 sometimes a bit unwieldy. But these are great just to store a lot of water and keep them somewhere in your boat where you can forget about it for a few days and then pull out a big reservoir of water when you need it. I would stay away, personal preference, from the ultralight versions of really any of these. I have a few and I'm always a little nervous about taking them out. These are, putting them on sharp rocks or trees, even just putting them in the boat and getting in and out of the boat. I'm a little nervous of those ultralight ones. The weight savings isn't really necessary to the same degree in a sea kayak where you're not carrying it on your back. So I tend to prefer the harder ones. Now this one is empty as I'm on this camping trip. I didn't fill this up with me. I brought it with you as a demonstration aid. I'm on a camping trip on Little Water Island, interestingly enough. That was unplanned, but it worked out. So the water that I did take for this trip, I took 7 liters. Now I'm going to be out for about a day and a half. I left yesterday morning and I'm going to be back this afternoon. So I took 7 liters thinking that would give me a little bit of buffer if I needed it. And so far it's working out great. I put 3 liters in my MSR Dromedary. You'll find these everywhere. These are kind of staples of the industry and have been for a while. Just an easy way to carry water when you're on the water. A lot of waters there. The other thing I like is slightly smaller 2 liters. This is actually 2.5 liters, but 2 liter bags that you can put in other small spaces. If you're only packing really big bags of water, it starts to get really tough of fitting them in the places you need. So 3 liters, 2.5 liters, you can start to fit them in places where you've got a little extra room. The other thing that I do is I carry a soft-sided water bottle when I'm at camp. I find that if I don't take a water bottle, I forget to drink when I'm at camp, and this is just an easy thing that I fill up when I leave. This is another half a liter that I took with me, and it's not going to take any room going back now that I'm on my last day and I'm not going to bother refilling this. And then the last 1.5 liters of water was in my Kayak Dromedary bag. This is a PFD hydration bag that attaches to the back of your PFD. I know some people don't like it for the weight. I don't mind it. I actually prefer it. I would have a hard time paddling without it. I stay hydrated all day long. It's easy to get water. If I'm out in conditions and I don't want to take my hand off the paddle to get water, I can easily grab my hose. I think it has a lot of benefits if you can take a little bit of time and get used to the slight difference in weight on your back. It doesn't affect my rolling. It doesn't affect my mobility. And I've got water ready to rock and roll with me. So there are some things you can do to conserve water when you're at camp, and one of them is using the sea to clean your dishes, whether you're using a biodegradable soap or just some seaweed to get some muck off. That's a great way to save water. It's camp clean, and you're not using your fresh water for it. The other thing is I use wet wipes when I'm at camp and don't use fresh water to clean unless I really need to, but saving my fresh water for drinking and using wet wipes to clean myself off. The other way to save water is to use the sea to heat water up if you're doing boil type foods. So not food you have to add fresh water to, but food you need to heat up. Maybe you've cooked something at home and froze it and it's in a plastic bag, a sealed plastic bag. You can boil some seawater and heat that up and have that be your heat source instead of using your fresh water to heat that you're just either going to dispose of or not use. So those are just some of the ways that you might be able to conserve some water. Now, carrying water in a boat, there's a few thoughts here. I think the main thing that most of us would follow is that you want to keep the weight low and as close to you as possible, as close to the center of the boat as possible. You don't want to have big, heavy bags of water at the front of your boat or way in the back of your boat. So I think about keeping my water right behind my butt in my day hatch or at my feet in the cockpit. This keeps it close to me and it keeps it centered in the boat. I know some people don't like keeping the water in their hatch with the theory that like the stuff in your hatch you want to keep dry, and I get that, and I don't know, everything I need to have dry is in a dry bag, and if I am taking a lot of water, I don't have enough room at my feet or in my cockpit for water, so I don't quite know how to overcome that other than if you are going to keep water in a hatch, make sure that the other stuff in the hatch can get wet or is in a dry bag. It seems like a solution. Nothing's fail-safe, I get that. Things can always happen, but it's also tough to try to get all of the constraints to line up. Okay, well, those are just a few of my thoughts on carrying water when you're overnight kayak camping. What are some of your thoughts? What are things you've done? What are some things you've learned? Do you have any running out of water stories that you can share? Throw them in the comments. I'd love to read those and hear about those. All right, friends. Well, as always, I hope you enjoy your adventures, whatever they are. And until next time, safe paddling. Bye for now.